everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. It is myself and McLovin this morning. Pags is on an airplane flying home, and Stat Guy may stop by sometime during the show. How you doing, Jay?
I'm good. I'm good. And I will tell you why I'm good. Because, the Astros have been struggling. Yep. You know that. But the fact that we were able to take the series from the Rangers last night was amazing, man. It was good. It made me feel good, and we got some new prospects. I got to see the Zenzo kid. I hope I said his name right. He's taking over for first base. They just brought him up because Singleton got, I guess they wanted to give him a break. So they brought him up, and the guy had he got on base twice, scored a run. I mean, played good defense. And I'm like, man. I was like, all right, let's go. So there's a lot of good promises coming out of the farm system.
You got to be happy with the fact that you guys took the series or the division lead again as well. So you're up by a half a game because the M's lost last night too.
But you know how it is, Bo. I can't get too excited just yet because it's just a half a game. And as historically this season has gone, that seems to go back and forth. So if they get up by 3 or 4 games on Seattle, then I'll be happy. But until then, it's still anybody's, and that it's anybody's division.
Of course.
Absolutely, man. And I'll tell you though, I'm really hoping that our pitching staff can get back. We did, Bo. I'll tell you, they traded for Kikuchi. Mm-hmm. I still love saying that name. It's just amazing. But so they brought this guy Kikuchi, and the first 2 games he's pitched for us, or he's only pitched twice. So he went 5 2/3 the first outing and 5 1/3 last night. And last night he gave up only 3 hits and 0 runs, and the night before that he didn't give up hardly. So and I mean this is against the Texas team of Corey Seager, Adolis Garcia. I mean they got some hitters over there, and the guy pitched well. So. Yeah. I mean, and everybody knows we need that. If you look at Hitch's pitching staff right now, it couldn't come at a better time, be honest.
No, for sure. I mean, you guys are getting healthy at the right time. So that is huge. Unfortunately for the M's, they're right back to not being able to produce runs, right? So they just dropped the last 2 games against a not great Detroit Tigers team. So, so especially because where they go from this Tiger series, it gets harder, right? So we really need these bats to heat up. But on the plus side, the White Sox are no longer in contention to have the biggest losing streak. They did finally win a game against the A's. So
21 games, like holy cow. I mean, like. I just can't believe that streak went as long as it did. I honestly did not think the White Sox were going to be as bad as that, but geez.
Well, and it's funny because going into the All-Star break, they let the coach know that he was going to be fired at the end of the season, right? Then they go on this crazy slide of just losing games, and then they waited for him to win a game to fire him.
But let me ask you this. Do you think that maybe that might have, and I'm just saying, maybe that was something hypothetically worked out in the back room where maybe the GM and the coach are talking and the GM's like, look, bro, you're on a 21 game streak or losing streak. I think it's time to let you go. Well, let me ask you this. Can you just wait till I get 1 win? So that way my next employer will know, well, he went out on a win. So maybe there's still promise there.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking, right? Like, let me end on a high note, I guess.
Can I just get a high note before you can me? I mean, come on.
I mean, was it though? Because it was against the A's. So it's not like that's an awesome team.
You know what though? Hey, let's not. And I'm not saying that he's a great by any means, but they're not. I mean, they're better than we were last year, and they did beat the Phillies. I mean, they got some wins here and there against some tough teams. Now they're not the best team.
Obviously, they're not as bad as the White Sox. Like that's not what I'm saying at all. But they are a bottom 5 team.
Oh yeah.
Well, so
I don't know if it was weird because when they started the season, the A's actually looked pretty good, and then they just kind of went downhill.
Yeah, they did have like a 15. The first 15 games, you're like, okay, they look competitive, and then they packed it in.
Yeah, they said, okay, we're good. But you know what's interesting to me is how a team though, like the A's, who are displaced. I mean, they're out in Sacramento, right? They don't know where they're going to be.
Not yet. They're not yet, right? They're still in Oakland.
I thought they went to Sacramento.
They are next year. Next year's when they should be.
Okay, so next year they're going to be playing. I thought they were already.
So this should be their last year in Oakland, and then next year, if I remember right, they go to Sacramento, and they'll be there for 2 years. And then, in theory, if the stadium and everything's done, then they go to Vegas.
But why? Let me ask you this: Why go to Sacramento if you're waiting on that stadium to be built? Which I'm assuming they're talking about the one in Vegas. If you're waiting for one to be built, why not just stay where you are? Why go to Sacramento for 2 seasons?
I don't think they can.
Okay.
I think it had to do with the stadium. And honestly, probably the way that this team has, kind of gone after Oakland. I think just everything about the stadium, the city, they're just like, you know what, if you're leaving, just go.
Just get out.
Yeah.
It's like you rip the Band-Aid off. I don't care where you go.
Well, I mean, especially when you figure they were like boycotting basically. So there was nobody in the stands. And I mean, at that point, you're going to find a different stadium that you can at least get somebody in, right?
Oh,
because it doesn't matter how bad your team is. If you go down to Sacramento, people are going to show up to the game because they haven't had it, right?
Yeah.
They get to see pro sports in their backyard. They haven't had it. So people will show up to that game more than that are showing up to, in Oakland.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it should be a good revenue bump for those guys, like you said, because they're probably starving for baseball in Sacramento. So, yeah, you're right. So, I guess, I can understand that. For some reason, I had them already in Sacramento. I don't know if I thought I read that somewhere, but I thought they were in Sacramento.
I don't think so. I believe they're still in Oakland. I will double check, though, because I could be wrong. I don't watch a lot of A's games, as it turns out.
Oh, I don't either. I just every now and then, unless it comes across ESPN's feeder or something on them, I won't. I probably wouldn't even pay attention. Sad news, though. Billy Beane passed away. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah. The home of the analytics, has finally left. Unfortunately.
Yep. And they are officially still playing in Oakland this year.
Okay.
I was pretty sure.
Wow, what a time to be alive, man! What a time to be alive. I saw, last night, or maybe it was last night or this morning on Facebook, or I think it was Facebook. I saw it on, because I don't watch too much of the gymnastics and the Olympics. I haven't caught too much of that, but I did see where this kid, Damaris or something like that. I think it's how you say his last name. The kid's born in LSU, right? Or was born in Louisiana. Okay. His parents. I think his parents went to LSU. Mom and dad were both in track and field, but mom's from Sweden. Dad is from the U.S. So he wanted to honor his mom, even though he's born in the U.S. He went and played for Sweden.
Okay.
And so, but he broke the pole vault record of, I think it initially was like 20 meters, and then he went and did it. Or no, excuse me, 6 meters. And then he went and did it at 6.5 meters. And I don't know the conversion of that. So I had to go look it up, So I was like, damn, this dude went almost 20 and a half feet in the air on a pole. I don't know if Kamala Harris even did that.
No, that's there's something wrong with you,
man. I had to throw that in there. But no, seriously though, I'm thinking to myself, and I'm thinking I'm trying to put that in my perspective. So I'm thinking, what if I was running down this track and I put this pole in this little hole or whatever? I'm trying to think like I'm going 20 feet up in the air. I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, that whole thing. I mean, I don't think I could do it. That's just crazy.
I mean, I know I couldn't, but
I mean, I'm thinking to myself, how much upper body strength do you have to do? Because I'm having, you got to, you're using a lot of that upper body to really propel yourself up, right?
Sure. Well, and you're probably you probably can't be a real heavy person either.
Oh right? No, he's a skinny kid.
Yeah, like, I would bet he's pretty small, like not necessarily short, but like thin framed would be my guess. Because I can't imagine me trying to shove over 200 pounds over.
Oh, hell no. And I honestly think that's the kind of event where if you're small and light, you're going to do much better because you don't have too much of the body to get over that pole.
Exactly. Exactly.
I just thought it was crazy. So I thought it was interesting, 20 and a half feet. I mean, so he set a new record. Too bad he could have done it for his home country. Had to go do it for the Swedes.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's okay. That's okay. It is what it is. But another news, though, I saw the women did well last night in their WNBA action, and I know the men's team opens up today. I think against Serbia, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that who they're playing today?
I think they play at 2:00. I don't know if that's Central or Eastern, but yeah, I know they're playing Serbia.
I got you.
So that should be interesting. It's interesting too, and the reason why I want to talk about that, if you don't mind, just for a second, is Steph Curry. I was reading where Steph Curry's numbers have not looked all that impressive, and people are kind of saying, is he choking this, that, and the other. But I was thinking, I was watching it, and the more I watch it, they're trying to do where he's a catch and shoot guy, where he just sits out on the perimeter, and I don't think that's really Steph Curry's game. He seems more like he likes to have the ball in his hands, creating his shot, rather than just being a spot-up shooter, and I think that's kind of what they've reduced him to. Do you think that maybe Kerr, and it was just kind of weird because Kerr's their head coach. He knows Steph Curry. Like, do you think that maybe Steph Curry needs to, or maybe should he have a conversation with Bron and say, hey, maybe we need to use Steph in a different kind of way because it's not typically how he's used?
Yeah, I mean, he does have the ability to take his shot, although through his career has been good as a catch and shoot as the ball comes back to him. So
right.
From what I've heard in the international game or the Olympics, right, same stuff. There's some subtle differences that can throw a game off a little bit. Like the ball, I guess, is a little bit different. Like the feel of the ball is a little different. Yeah. So, it can throw some of that stuff off. And I mean, the way that this team has been coached has kind of been weird anyway. So,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
And this is what I don't understand too. How in the world are they not putting Tatum on the court? Have you noticed that? They have not used Tatum at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know they didn't in game one. Game two, I thought they did. But, just weird. But at the same time, there's only so many minutes, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're trying to get out there and win games. So it's not like an all-star game where you're trying to get everybody minutes on the floor. If you see an alignment that you think a specific set of guys will play better into, I mean, that kind of makes the most sense.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows. I mean, Tatum. I can understand if it's, I don't know, maybe a lesser known player or somebody like that. But Tatum, I mean, this is a good guy. I mean, he just came off an NBA championship where, he played extremely well. I mean, I just don't know how he doesn't crack that lineup. I mean, nothing against Bron. I mean, we know how great Bron is, but I mean, is he at this stage in his life, being almost 40 years of age, is he really better than Tatum at this point?
I mean, they're giving him the opportunity to be, right? Like he's the only one that hasn't had I think he's the only one that hasn't not started in a game.
Right.
So, I mean, whatever. If it brings home the gold, I guess it works, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I kind of understand because I think this is Bron's. Obviously, this will be Bron's last Olympics. I can't imagine him coming back at 44 trying to get in the Olympics. So I get it, and maybe they're just trying to get him in there, let him play his last Olympics out. So I understand there's a lot of politics that probably may be playing into it, but I think it's just kind of weird how Steve Kerr, the way he was doing his rotations leading up to the Olympics and stuff. When they were doing the pre-season, I guess, to it and all that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of skepticism about how he was doing his rotations.
Well, yeah, because he basically had a new starting five every week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's taken a unique approach to it. So far it's worked, right? So, I mean, I can't hate on it too much, but it is kind of weird.
Right.
At the same time, these guys are all NBA kind of guys. Somebody has to come off the bench. So, I mean, you only get the 5 guys on the floor. So, I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So, obviously, you saw Team Canada got eliminated, which I thought that was crazy. I mean, they had a pretty stacked lineup over there, but now they're not in it anymore. Ron has committed to the 2028 Olympics. He wants to participate as well. Oh,
that would be hilarious. If he buys an island, creates a country.
Could you imagine that? Oh my Lord.
That would be hilarious.
That actually would be kind of hilarious. And I bet you anything to nothing, I bet you that'd be a huge media draw.
It would be a circus.
No yeah, doubt. It's gonna be a circus. Absolutely. But there's gonna be a lot of viewership to watch those games, I bet too, though.
Yeah, I mean there would be. So switching gears over to the NFL a little bit, it's interesting that there's so many fights in practices this year. Like there's always a few, but this year
the Seahawks, as you already talked about that. I saw you were talking about that. What Metcalf? What did he do? He took his helmet off and was swinging it.
So it wasn't his helmet. He got a defender's helmet off. And then swung it. I couldn't really tell if the helmet was still in it or if it was just the Guardian cap. But so I was at the practice that this was happening at, right? Like, so I was down there at the VMAC. And oddly enough, it wasn't even the worst fight that broke out at that. There was another one. A guy got his helmet ripped off and then caught a shot to the face right in the jaw. So, I mean, like there's some high tensions at these practices, but it's not only the Seahawks, right? Like it's happened around the league. It just happened that, yesterday at practice, there was at least three or four of them. The practice before that was actually at Lumen Field for their Fan Fest. I think there was 3 in that one also. And like when it's a scuffle, it makes sense, right? Because these guys are all fighting for really the last 10 spots of a 53-man roster, right? Like you got 50 guys trying to fill 10 spots. So tensions are going to be high. No question. You're used to seeing scuffles, but when you're starting to see helmets ripped off and people swinging and, swinging a helmet, like
that's a weapon. That's not even your fist anymore. Now you got a freaking weapon in your hand. Come on, what are we doing?
It's your teammates. Come on. It's your teammates. That's the thing that's even crazier about it. So you're just like, okay, this doesn't make sense. So when it's the rest of the guys, I don't take a ton of notice to it.
Right.
When it's DK, because he has such a history of doing things during the season, it worries me that he hasn't had that growth that says, hey, maybe I'm not going to create all of these off the ball penalties that he's been creating since he came into the league. And not just has he been creating them, he's been creating more of them each season as he's been in the league. So these are, it's just one of the things I don't want to see in practice from DK, because all it means to me is we're going to have 15-yard drive killers because he throws another cornerback to the ground or gets in a shoving match after the play or whatever. So, I mean, normally I wouldn't really think twice about it. Obviously, there's no place in sports for swinging helmet at each other, but it's do we have another year of him, potentially losing games for us because he has a drive killing moment where he just can't keep his head straight. And, when they played the Bengals last year, game they easily should have won, towards the end of the game, he ends up throwing one of their guys on the ground after the whistle was long since blown. He runs up and shoves him to the ground. Come on, man. What are we doing? Because now that's a 15-yarder, kills the drive.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it definitely kills your momentum. I mean, it probably made him feel good in the moment, but for the team, not so much.
I mean, it guaranteed a loss.
And you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys had I think you had 5 fights during that practice yesterday. Am I right on that, or am I wrong?
So, if there was 5, I didn't see all 5. I know I saw at least 3 though. So, 4, I guess, if you include one of them, because it kind of started and then moved a little bit and started up again. So if you count that as 2 separate ones, maybe, I don't know. But there was at least 3 or 4. And again, most of them were just kind of shoving, scuffled, whatever. But, a guy getting punched in the face and, obviously DK swinging a helmet, that is not ideal.
Yes. Well, the Giants also had had issues this preseason with fights to the point where they got, I think, $200 or $200,000 worth of fines.
Yeah, so that was a little different though, because that one was a joint practice with the Lions.
Right.
So joint practices get chippy. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a joint practice that didn't have some scuffles during it, right? Like, every time you see one of those, you see the video of it, there's almost always at least one. So again, I don't mind scuffles. It shows passion. It shows people that are, they're trying to make that roster spot, right? And there's too many guys and not enough spots. So like, I get that the tensions are high there. It's where two of them went in this particular practice that, is a problem. Now, I don't know if I'm going to make it to the practice today. Not sure if my schedule allows it, but it'd be interesting to go down there and see today's. See, there was some coaching once they got back in the building, like, hey, knock this shit off.
Yeah. I mean, I get it though. I mean, I honestly really do get the fighting and things like that, because I mean, like you said, I mean, these guys are really out there fighting for their livelihood. And when you're fighting for your livelihood, come on, man, you're going to be over the top passionate because this is your money.
Yeah. I mean, it's your shot, right? Like, that is, you're trying to utilize that opportunity that's in front of you. And I mean, otherwise what? You're going to go work at Target. And
nobody wants that.
Right?
Nobody wants that. Maybe Kurt Warner wanted to go back to Walmart after he was playing with the Barnstormers.
Not a chance. Not a chance. So yeah, no. Again, it's why I get the pushing and shoving, scuffling in that way. But once it elevates past that, that's where, like, you need your coaching staff to be blowing the whistle and like, all right, everybody get in here. We're having a chat.
Yeah.
Because I mean, passion is fine. Aggression is fine. Taking it to that next level is not a great look.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I mean, when you're swinging helmets, I mean, now because in all honesty, I mean, if you take that one weird hit to the head with the helmet, I mean, you're talking death. You could die. I mean, the brain, I mean, the temple, whatever. You hit that one spot.
Yeah, well,
you can either kill somebody or do something terrible.
When it came to DKs, I actually don't know if the helmet was in it or if it was just the Guardian cap. From where I was standing, I couldn't tell. And if you watch the video, you still can't really tell. So tough to say. It may not have had the helmet in it. Doesn't make it better, but yeah. And where he was swinging it, he wasn't actually that close. Well, where he was swinging it, he wasn't actually that close to the guy. That didn't have a helmet on. So, I mean, at least there was that. I did see a clip of a college team. I forget the college team offhand, but this guy got his helmet ripped off, and he did get right upside the head with his helmet. So, and
that's what I don't understand. Explain to me this. Now, thankfully, DK didn't make contact, so it is what it is. You know what they say? Everything is good as long as you don't make contact, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But let me ask you this. I mean, look, you go out on the civilian side of life. If I go up to you and just whack you upside the head with the helmet, I guarantee you, I'm going to get assault charges and that's a felony.
You're getting sued for sure.
How are these football players, and I'm going to use Myles Garrett because that really is the most biggest one. How is Myles Garrett, who hits Mason Rudolph upside the head with the helmet, how is he not being arrested and put in jail? I don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because, Bo, if you go out and did that shit in the street, you don't think you're not going to be in jail?
Oh, no. Yeah, like it's a problem, no question.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Come on, what are we doing? But anyway, I mean, as long as you don't make contact, just don't make contact. You can simulate.
Yeah, it's it was Appalachian State.
Appalachian? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, yanked the guy's helmet off and then just blasted him upside the head with his helmet.
And he know that had to hurt like hell.
Oh, no question. Yeah.
You know, I'm surprised, and I wouldn't even be surprised. I mean, you could probably definitely give somebody a concussion. At the very least, you could give somebody a concussion with that mess.
Oh, yeah, easily. There, I mean, no question. Like, you'd be lucky if that guy was able to finish practice.
Hell, that's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And you would hope the other guy wasn't allowed to finish practice. You'd hope that coaching staff is like, yeah, hit the showers.
Go hit the showers. And then after you hit the showers, come to my office. We got to have some discussions.
Yeah, because if that stuff happens in the NFL, right, you're getting fines and, maybe a suspension, whatever. At the college level, you may never suit up again.
Yeah.
Like they may just kick you straight off the team.
Yeah. And God forbid if you're one of those athletes that has an NIL deal that happens to, then you just lost all your endorsements and it goes right along with all of that on top of it.
Potentially. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, I mean, potentially. I mean, so I mean, these kids are messing with some serious business when they do those kinds of things. Hopefully, my hope is that it mellows out. I mean, there's always going to be aggression, but man, if you got to pick up a weapon to hit somebody, I mean, think about what you're doing. I mean, I'm just saying, it's a game. At the end of the day, I know this is your livelihood, but still, I mean, come on.
Well, and that's why I made the point. Like, I'm fine with the aggression, and a scuffle here and there is fine. But as soon as you start ripping helmets off and punching each other in the face or trying to hit each other with a helmet, whatever. I mean, that's just a little bit too far. So, and it doesn't matter what level it is. I mean, like that's not okay at any level of football.
I have a question. Since we're talking about things and stuff, football related, I saw the other day, and I didn't get a chance to read the article, but I want to ask you about it. I don't know if you read it, but I saw Harbaugh is still, I guess NCAA now is putting fines or something on Harbaugh now for what all that the stuff that went down at Michigan. How can they do that? I mean, can they still levy stuff out to him like that if he's no longer in the organization?
I mean, you're talking about personal fines.
I guess I didn't get a chance to read it. I just saw I saw that I captured the headline where it said Harbaugh is now being pursued by Michigan, right? Michigan is going after Harbaugh in reference to what happened the last season.
Interesting.
I guess my question is, how can they discipline a coach who's no longer in the league?
Yeah, I'll have to read the article because I'm so if you have it, send it to me. And
I'll definitely
I'll check that out because I know that there's ways that they can try. Now, I don't know if they'll win, but
right
I know there's certain scenarios because of, potential money that it would have taken from the school, right? Or fines that the school had to pay. So I would be curious to see what that, what that looks like. But I mean, there's ways that they can try and come after him. I don't know if they win, but they can, give it a shot, I guess.
Yeah, the actual headline was Jim Harbaugh denies any wrongdoing amidst Michigan allegations. So they're putting allegations on him. I just don't know. And I'll send you this article so you can read. I'm going to read it too. But I'd be curious to see what comes out of that.
I'm guessing
out of their, I guess, investigation.
Yeah, I'm guessing nothing. If anything at all does come of it, it's probably going to be settled for some money anyway. So, I can't imagine anything of note ends up happening. But I would be curious to see kind of what that article outlines, if there's, some sort of verbiage.
I'll put it in the text group chat so you can.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah, I mean, I just couldn't understand, like, if the guy's no longer attached. But again, I remember Chris Webber. Remember when Chris Webber had all those allegations out there when he played for, I think it was Michigan, and then he had to deal with it, down the road at when he got with the Sacramento Kings. I think he had to go back. They were still addressing those issues with him.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Take away his grades? I mean, I don't know how you punish a guy who's no longer, an NCAA. I mean, I guess maybe you could strip away his entitlements or his awards or whatever he accomplished, in the NCAA level, right? Like the Heisman for football or what have you. I just don't know how you put monetary or any other kind of things on him. Maybe they ban him from NCAA. I don't know.
I mean, and that could very well be something like that could happen.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. It says, there's one here says Harbaugh, who left Michigan, to coach the Chargers. It says after winning a national championship back in January, is accused of committing a level 1 violation, the most serious category in NCAA's enforcement process. So, I mean, I guess he did the most egregious. The NCAA accuses Harbaugh of not cooperating because he denied the organization's request to review relevant messages and phone records from a cell phone. The draft says Harbaugh could face a no-show restriction if he ever opts to return to college sports. So
yeah,
I guess what they're saying is, like, right now he's cool, but if he gets found on this, yeah, like I said, a ban from college football or something like that nature could happen to him.
Yeah, I mean, it could. The NCAA is funny though, because say he gets that ban, right? This guy wins at every level he's ever played, brings a lot of press with him. Do you honestly think, as shady as the NCAA is, they don't find a way to reinstate him anyway? I mean,
yeah.
Like, this just feels like some weird posturing, because he's going to be with the Chargers for a while anyway. So even if he were to go back, it would be, a decade from now. Right. Nobody's going to remember this. And even if they do, it'll be a side note.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. Speaking of controversies, right? Then there's the other controversy of the female athlete, that the female boxer, anyway, that was in the Olympics. I'm sure you've seen this, Bo, where genetically she was born with, I guess, more testosterone because of the extra XY of that chromosome.
Sure,
or whatever. I don't know all the science, but
so the thing is about that is she was born a female. So it's not like she's transgender or anything like that. So does she have the extra chromosome? Sure. That's fine. But at the same time, she's been beat 9 times.
Right.
So it's not like she's just been going out and destroying everybody. Like she's been beat.
Right. So it's not like she's not beatable by a female.
Yeah. And again, she biologically is a female. So that's one I wouldn't have a problem with. Usually where I have an issue is if it's, a transgender male, because you're just physically built different. Right. So that's where I'm like, okay, I don't want to keep them from competing. Right. But you should probably not compete against women. Like, at this point, there's enough transgender people. They should just have their own bracket.
Yeah, I mean, I think me and the wife were talking about the other night, because I was like, where do they go with something like this? Because it seems like an unfair advantage to a lot of athletes that are having it, or especially female or male, depending on which way you're doing it. Sure. And I was thinking, like, the wife said to me, she's like, well, you know what? They should just assign them to whatever category that they were born with. So in other words, if you're a male trying to, then you still stay in the male category. The female still stay in the female category, even though you have other genitalia. Because still, like you said, even though you don't have the genitalia, your body makeup is still you're not changing your body makeup. You're just removing genitalia. So you're still considered a man, even though you don't have the genitalia. So you should still stay in that male bracket because you still have.
It has less to do with that part and just more the structure of how your body is composed.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's where you end up with the unfair advantage. And that's why I say, like, I would actually be fine with there just being its own bracket. Now, in this case of the boxer, she was born a female. Like, she's passed numerous tests. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like that one is.
So would you have 4 categories: male, female, transgender male to female, and transgender male to or female to male? I mean, and then you have 4 different categories. Is that how we would look at that?
I don't know exactly how you'd do it. It'd probably be 3, right? It'd probably just be 3.
Because the only reason I ask you that is if I took a male that was going to female and put him in a transgender category with a female going to a male, like you said, even though you got rid of the genitalia, the physical makeups are still the same as the gender that they came from. So it almost would defeat the purpose of that. Yeah. It's still the same issue. So that's what I was thinking. But I still think in my opinion, and again, it's just my opinion, I think they should compete in the gender that they were given And then even though they're a different gender now, but they should compete in the gender that God gave them and just let it roll at that. I think that's still the fair and equitable way to do that. That guy, what do you think about that? We're talking about where should transgender athletes, what category should they compete in? And so what is your thoughts on that?
Just have a transgender category.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
Well, and the reason why I was just telling Bo, the reason why I think that wouldn't work is you're not really solving the problem, because even though they remove the genitalia, they still are who they are. So you still got men going against women, and where's the competitive fairness in that?
I mean, you're selecting that for yourself, though. So
well, you are. I mean, I get that.
So I mean,
punish them for their choice. Not that I don't, but I don't know. I think you give them. I get
it. You want to be part of that category? It's fine.
No, I'm good. Listen.
But no, this is why I say you only need the one category, right? Because if it was, a woman transitioning over, if they're electing to go against the males in the transgender group, that's on them, because otherwise they would have been in the women's category anyway.
Well, of course it's easier for them, because you're going from, and listen, I'm not a chauvinist, but let's be honest, you're going from a weaker. No, I'm really not.
I always love when people say stuff like that. They're like, I'm not racist.
People will take it that way.
Thing you've ever heard.
People will take it that way if you don't explain. I mean, my thing is, you can't get away from the physical anatomy, estrogen versus testosterone. You can't get away from the competitive advantage. No, so if a female wants to go from estrogen to testosterone in categories,
you're missing my point.
Then what the heck point? What am I missing? Because I feel like
it's
easier it's easier if a woman wants to go compete against men, that's fine, because she understands that there's a huge upgrade to that, right? Or a disparity between her and them in terms of physicality. So
what my point is,
if a male wants to go against a female, well, then that really puts the other contestants at a disadvantage, doesn't it?
And that's exactly why you would do a transgender category, because once you're in that category, you're going to go up against whoever wants to go up against you, because that is.
I understand your view. I get where you're coming from with that. I do.
So on the other end of it, if you're say you're a man transitioning over, okay, whatever. If you're a woman transitioning over, you're going to go in and compete against those men. At the same point, if you're a woman that was transitioning over, you could stay in the women's category. Right. So, you don't need a bunch of extra options. Just that one would be fine.
Right. Yeah. I get what you're saying. I mean, because it is a choice. So if you're going to make that choice, then that's a crazy one.
I think that makes way more sense to have its own category than to have a man that's transitioning, resetting women's records. Because, biologically you're just not.
Right. And I imagine at some point the IOC is going to have to really, as we go longer in the tooth, it's going to have to take a look at that in terms of what they're going to do, because, as transgenderism becomes more and more prevalent, you got to imagine at some point a transgender athlete's going to want to be in the Olympics and do something. So they're going to have to start figuring out that part of the equation.
Well, and I think that's the biggest part of it, is there's enough now that it could support its own category, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. If we were talking 20, 30 years ago, there's absolutely no way there was enough that had, fallen into that category to create its own area. But now there absolutely is. And so I wouldn't have a problem with it. Like, that would be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess more to follow on that one. Stat Guy, I understand you just came off a really crazy whirlwind baseball experience. You want to tell a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Or do we need to go to commercial break? I don't know.
Yeah, do the commercial. Yeah, do the commercial quick, if you have to.
Yep.
Yeah, do that.
This is Reggie Jones, owner and founder of Air Sports Academy. Air is based on the 4 core principles: heart, education, integrity, resiliency. AIR is about developing student athletes physically and mentally through training, mentorship, and effective marketing. We've created a platform and a blueprint for our state to shine in the brightest of lights. I created this program because it was a need for our state. We needed to have the light shine on the student athletes in our region, and now that is happening at an all-time and undeniable rate. We created a lane for the kids in our state to get their college education paid for and set their families up for future success. We created an environment where serious athletes can now come compete fearlessly. We've achieved this through our variety of elite programs. Our 6-month off-season program, where first-year starters or seasoned vets can all come develop. Our 5-on-5 program, which is all about our line. Our youth tackle program, which is the first and only youth tackle team from the state of Washington to ever win a major national championship. Our 7-on-7 program, which is ranked top 10 in the country every year. Our high school 11-on-11 club tackle program, which creates unique and much-needed opportunities for our kids. Our college prep program, which allows our graduates to come back from college and prepare for the upcoming season. Our track and field program, which creates an opportunity for our young air boys and air girls to continue to get faster. When you're a national program, you receive national respect, which is why when you look at recruiting boards and top player lists from around the country, you'll always find players from Air on those lists. Which is why college coaches from some of the most prestigious schools around the country come into our facility to recruit our players. The Penn State, Alabama, Oregon, Stanford, Florida State, the list goes on. Our players are being recruited, offered, and committing to some of the top schools in the nation. The experience our players and families receive is second to none. We offer a competitive brand of sports at Air. We are the ball. And with that comes great responsibility. Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
All right. So, how was yesterday's action?
Oh, yesterday's action was good. I mean, the first game, like I said, I wasn't too worried about the first game just because our ace didn't give up a hit for 2 games, and I knew that was going to come to an end at some point, but I'm usually not too worried when he pitches. He's given up 8 runs in 146 innings all year, so I'm not too worried when he pitches. And then once we got through that game, it was pretty much all hands on deck for the win-or-go-home game, and we scored 9 runs. We gave up 13. I can't be too upset about it, especially when they're the defending national champions anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you only lost by 2, so that's a hell of a feat right there. What age group are these kids in?
Basically 16 through 18. So basically it's JV/varsity kids that were on the varsity high school team that come back and just play for the summer.
So you're getting, so these kids are right before they either go to A, minor leagues, or B, college, I guess, to play baseball.
Yep.
Wow, man, that's pretty up there, man. That's amazing. Well, good job, man. Dang. I mean, like you said, you can't get worse losing 2 points to national champ.
It's the furthest we've ever gotten. So I mean, we've won state. Well, no, we never won state. We were in the state championship game last year and lost, which is only the second time we made it to state. The first time we made it, we lost the first 2 games and went home right away. So this is the furthest that we've ever gotten. So
that's quite the run, man. Quite the run.
Your pitchers, miles per hour, what are they typically throwing in on their fastball?
Our ace sits between 87 and 88. He can touch 90 every now and then. Our number 2 is about 83 to 86, and then the rest of them are kind of in that 75 to 78 range. So we have 2 that throw pretty hard, and then the other ones that we use are pretty much they pitch to contact. So as long as they can locate, they don't give up too much hard contact. I have 2 strikeout guys, and then the other ones are just pitch to contact pitchers.
I mean, pitching to contact works.
It does, especially for us because we play in a turf field, so we have that advantage because there's not a lot of teams that have that kind of field. So we're used to the bounces that it takes off a turf. We're used to like knowing that on a chopper you play back and wait for it to come to you as opposed to charging it like you would have to charge it on grass.
Sure.
And so that helped them a lot this year just because they were used to just kind of that turf facility.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was a good run. I was really surprised at how well, like I think Pags even commented on that, how good of a photo you guys got with,
it was
with
amazing.
the foot placement. I mean, that was perfect.
Yeah, no, that was something else.
Yeah, he is a very, very good photographer, and I'm surprised he doesn't try to branch out and kind of do more as opposed to just kind of the high school stuff. But he likes where he is, so I'm not going to tell him no.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You like doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, but that's interesting. So, you know, I wonder, you know, like is it the photo? Was that photo what helped overturn the call, or
that was part of it? But the coach that we were going against, I know him very well because we played him several times during the regular season because he's also from Wisconsin, so I know him very well. And the coach actually backed me on the appeal, and basically in the appeal process said the game should still be 0-0. So when the opposing coach is kind of standing up for our team, also basically saying that we lost on a play we never should have lost on, I think that made a big difference in the appeal process.
Yeah. And for everybody watching that didn't see the picture yesterday, this is that shot. And I mean, amazing shot to, I mean, obviously the guy was out.
I'm just wondering how number 4 didn't break his ankle stepping on the other guy's foot.
I want to know how my pitcher didn't break his toe. Those are metal spikes going on his foot.
Right.
But bro, you know what? I can come back from a broke toe. It's harder to come back if you jack up an ankle, man. I mean, just look at the foot. I mean, it's already at, you know, a pretty good angle there.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Lucky he didn't break that ankle. Boy, I tell you, that just looks like that's thing. Speaking of bad ankle, you know, I just recently saw a picture of Alex Smith's.
His leg.
Yeah. What the hell? Bro, no, seriously. Like, what the hell? Because his leg starts like this, and then his leg goes down, and it comes down. It's weird. It's like it's not even like a solid. You know,
yeah,
like,
no, the muscle is like attached in weird spots. Like,
oh man.
There's a reason why people were surprised that he was able to walk, let alone play again.
Oh yeah.
And
there was a chance it was getting amputated. So
yeah,
I mean,
and when you look at comeback player of the year awards and how every year you have a comeback player of the year award, and like 9 out of 10 times there is some question as to whether or not the person deserves it.
Yep.
You knew that all Alex Smith had to do was take one snap that next season and the award was his. Like that was the definition of the award.
So I agree, but then you end up with Damar Hamlin.
Yeah, see, I was
just thinking that too.
In my opinion, Damar Hamlin should have gotten it, but I think it should have been a co. Just because Damar Hamlin Damar Hamlin didn't play a ton, but just to make it back from what he went through,
by your definition, if Alex Smith took one snap, he would win that award.
Yeah.
So, but with that same train of thought, Damar Hamlin should have got that going away, especially against a guy like Flacco,
which is why Damar Hamlin should have had it. And I figure, like, if you're going to give it to somebody else, at least make it a call, because Damar Hamlin should have gotten it over anybody just because of what he had to go through just to be cleared, and then what he had to go through to even get back on that field.
Yeah, there's no question. Like, he should have won that award. Flacco winning it was hilarious to me because you just came back from not being good. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, what the hell?
It was like what's his name? Ryan Shazier with the Steelers. How he ended up breaking his neck and had to retire, and then took him like a couple of years to walk, and now that he's walking again, if he would have attempted to come back, I'm not saying obviously it would have been the smartest thing in the world.
He couldn't.
Yeah, if he would have attempted to, like, just say he could have, and he would have it would have taken him like 2 or 3 years to make that comeback. If he would have made that Pittsburgh roster, all he would have had to do was make one snap on the field, and that award was his.
Yeah, and that's my whole point. Is the fact that Hamlin didn't get it makes absolutely no sense.
In Joe Flacco's case, so if I was the NFL, I would create a new award. I would create a most improved award.
Thank you, because that's what I've been wanting to say.
Joe Flacco deserved the most improved award because he was the most improved player from where he was at the end of 22. When I think of a comeback, I think of an injury. Exactly. I think of something where a player had a cancer or whatever with Michi with the Texans when he was drafted, how he lost his rookie season due to cancer. That's what I think of with a comeback player award, because you had to come back from something that not a lot of people expected you to come back from.
Yeah, something that should have had you out of the game medically.
That's why I didn't like Geno winning comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
What was that? What did he come back from? Lack of opportunity. Like, that's
he came back from sucking.
Yeah, like I mean, what is that?
He was a starter, then he was a reserve,
And honestly,
he came back to being a starter.
And we're gonna deal with that again this year because I was talking to somebody about this on our way home from baseball the other day. If Sam Darnold has a halfway decent season with Minnesota this year,
Sure.
I'm 99% convinced he's getting comeback player of the year. Just because this is his first real opportunity to have a starting job with like a legitimate offensive scheme
that doesn't suck. Yeah, no, I get you.
And that's what I'm saying. Like in my opinion,
yeah,
he deserves the most improved player because he might be the most improved player this year, but he's not coming back from an injury. He's not coming back from losing a year of football.
That's not true. He's coming back from ghosts. Like that.
That's a whole different argument for a whole different show.
But no, I mean, like for Geno when he won his, how did he win and Saquon not?
Right.
Yeah, because Saquon came back from a hell
and like and honestly, the player that should deserve it this year would be Nick Chubb. If Nick Chubb comes back and looks anything remotely close to what he was before the injury, he should get it. But because he has such a high expectation of how good he's going to be, people are expecting him to come back and run for 13, 14, 1,500 yards. So if he does that, they're not going to look past about it. Versus if Darnold throws for 3,600 yards, 25 to 30 touchdowns, and less than 10 picks, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, Darnold gets comeback player of the year. It's just like, no, Darnold is the most improved player.
Exactly.
Chubb should be the comeback player.
Exactly. No, and I always hate that there isn't a most improved because there should be.
There should be.
Absolutely, there should be.
Because the NBA has the sixth man of the year award, which they're the only sport that gives out basically an award for the best bench player in the league. So the NFL should be giving one out for the most improved player.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's definitely not coming back.
No, it's definitely not. And I totally agree with that. I mean, that's two separate categories all the way around.
Obviously, we weren't being serious there, Steve-O.
I mean, I guess in Darnold's defense, maybe the ghost was Adam Gase. Because if you ever saw Adam Gase's eyes on a post-game press conference, it literally looked like he was staring death in the face every single time.
Pretty much. No, and that's actually the thing that's funny is I think Darnold could actually have a decent year because he finally has a decent team around him.
And last year at San Francisco, he didn't make any starts, but he played in like 5 games last year with the 49ers and took, I think, 130 some snaps in total. He had 7 touchdowns and like 2 picks last year. So he was playing well when the time he got on the field with the 49ers because he had weapons around him that actually could function.
Yeah,
going to Minnesota. Yeah, he's going to Minnesota, who has a top 15 offensive line. They're top 10 against the pass. They're not that good for the run, but they're top 10 offensive line for the pass. He's got the best receiver in the NFL in Jefferson. He's got Jordan Addison, who was the best rookie receiver in the NFL last year. Yep. He's got a 4-time Pro Bowl running back in Aaron Jones, so they're actually going to have a running game this year. And if TJ Hawkinson comes back at any point this year, now you're having a multi-Pro Bowl tight end in the mix. He's going to have weapons at his disposal.
What do they say? If Darnold can't win with this offense, then you just got to let him go.
He doesn't even need to win, in my opinion. He just needs to show that he can be a reliable starting quarterback because Minnesota.
Well, that's what I mean. If he can't function in this offense, then you really can't function, period.
Minnesota's defense is still going to be the biggest question mark, where if Darnold comes out and the team's scoring 24, 25 points per game, but the defense is giving up 24, 25 points per game, how many wins is Minnesota going to have? Right. He just needs to show that he can put his team in a position to win week in and week out.
No, and that's a real question about your team in general. Is this defense going to look like they did at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year?
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think secondary-wise, I think they're going to be better because they have Byron Murphy in year 2 now in that system. You still have Harrison Smith. They brought in Shaq Griffin as another veteran cornerback on the outside, and then they have Josh Metellus and a couple other veteran safeties. Pass rush, you don't have Danielle Hunter, but you brought in Grenard from Houston, who had 13 sacks last year, so you're basically replacing 1 with 1. But then you got Dallas Turner, who a lot of people expect to be the rookie leader in sacks this year. Blake Cashman and Alex Van Ginkel as your other 2 linebackers. So your linebacker unit's improved. It's that defensive line that doesn't really have anybody outside of Harrison Phillips. So if you can't generate any interior pressure up front, that's going to put more pressure on the back end.
No, for sure. I mean, you definitely need the guys up front to do their job. But I don't know. Like, I think the defense is going to be decent. Like, I don't think they're great, but
no, they're not going to be like dead last like they were like a couple of years ago. They'll probably be closer to that 17 to 20 range, which still isn't great. But if you're giving up 17 to 20, you're probably giving up 2 points less per game than if you're kind of towards that bottom. 2 points less per game could be the difference between 2 and 3 wins. And 2 and 3 wins makes Minnesota a 9-8 team last year, not 7-10.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and that's why I think this is a real opportunity for Darnold, because let's be honest, JJ, we don't know what he is yet, right?
I mean, obviously you go to a lot of Seahawks practices, so you kind of know like practice really doesn't mean anything. But a lot of the talk right now, just out of Minnesota and just for NFL Network, is JJ McCarthy is putting on a clinic in training camp right now. Like he is the most accurate passer out of all the rookies. He said more accurate than Williams, May, any of these guys. Like McCarthy is putting on an absolute clinic. They said he's got 76 touchdowns and 1 interception so far in practice, completing like 80% of his passes.
Right.
But then what people aren't talking about is Sam Darnold has a higher completion percentage right now than McCarthy at practice and has just as good as numbers. So it's like McCarthy can go out and have the best training camp of his life. But if Darnold's even with him, Darnold's not losing that starting job because Darnold is actually showing why he was the number 3 pick right now.
Yeah, no question. And I mean, it's funny mentioning the Seahawk practices, because one thing I have noticed, one of the main takeaways at these practices is Geno is in no danger of losing his starting role.
No, he shouldn't be, though.
Sam Howell has not looked great in practice. I don't care what the reporting is. The eye test has not been great. Like he has a lot of off-target throws, just a lot of misses. So, I mean, Geno, as many people were like, oh, yeah, Sam Howell's going to come here. He's going to be the guy. There's no way.
But I mean, but as a Seahawks fan, though, do you actually want Geno to not be the starter when you look at how good he's played the last 2 years?
No. I mean,
exactly. That was my point. So, you look at Sam Howell's body of work with the Redskins the Commanders before he came over there. The body of work tells you everything you need to know. I mean, Geno has a better body of work than what Howell has.
Well, I mean,
but he does have better weapons, so I don't want to.
I mean, Sam Howell led the NFL in passing yards per game for like 12 weeks last year. Like Sam Howell was passing the ball very well. Like his big issue was the interceptions, because he also led the NFL in interceptions last year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Turnovers. I mean, turnovers kill.
So, one of the biggest things that I've seen with Sam Howell during practice is he has a tendency to get through the first 2 reads and that's it. And
that was the knock on him in college, because everyone said from a talent perspective, he was a second or a third round pick based on what he did in college.
Yeah,
but he fell to round 5 because they said as games got tougher, like conference play, he went from going from 5 reads down to 2. He literally focused on his first 2 reads, and if it wasn't there, he would either force it or bad things happen.
So that is the problem. He's getting through 2 reads and then he runs. The other thing that is a real problem that I don't know why people don't talk about is he pats the ball for his release.
Yeah, I noticed that.
He literally will pat the ball.
There's a reason why he does it, and Eric Bieniemy tried to get him out of that last year.
It's part of his mechanics. It'd be really hard for him.
It is, and he does it for timing.
No, I understand why you do it. The problem is when you are a defensive player and you watch that tape, you're also dialing up timing.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, because you're going to watch his pattern, and then you're going to pick up on it. That's no different than tipping your pitches when you're a pitcher.
Almost all of them do more than 2 reads. It's actually part of the playbook. Otherwise, you wouldn't have more guys out there.
Most offensive plays, obviously, people that played football like you, Bo, would know this, but most offensive plays typically have 5 reads. And most quarterbacks...
You may not have time to get through.
No, but they typically have 5 reads, where if all of a sudden your 3rd read is there, well, you're going to go to read 3. You're not going to look at like all 5, but most plays always have 5 reads in there, and usually the last read is your check down.
Yeah.
Just because that's your safety valve.
Exactly. Whereas this one, he's not looking for his next read. He's already pulling the ball down to run. Yeah. And we're seeing this in practice. And the problem with that is you're not allowed to hit the quarterback in practice.
Nope.
So if you think he's got happy feet now,
wait till
Exactly. Get him in the game. That's a problem. So that's why it's a little bit of a problem, as an analyst. So that being said, that gets us to the top of the hour. If you were watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our content to you. If you're watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Other than that, we will see you all tomorrow.